Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Boyles, Director of Admission, and it is my sheer delight to say welcome to the Meredith College class of 2024. We are thrilled to have you students and your parents with us this afternoon. This webinar setting may be a little different than what we had planned for months and months, but it's still so great to have each of you with us this afternoon. It's also, students and parents, my honor on behalf of the entire Office of Admission to say thank you for the opportunity that you have given us to work with you throughout your college search. What a ride these last months have been. You, students and parents, you have navigated unprecedented times as you've completed your college search. And together, and I think that word together is very important to recognize. Together, you, students and your parents and your admission counselors have worked hard to keep your college dreams and your plans to attend Meredith front and center. And I want you to know that we couldn't be more proud of your resilience and your persistence, and ultimately the decision that you've made to choose Meredith as the place where you will study and grow and become an even stronger young woman. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of your life and such an integral part of this decision, this important decision that you've made for your education. Students, I want you to know these next 4 years are going to be filled with opportunities. COVID-19 has not removed opportunities for you to dream and to make plans for your future. And the modalities that you may experience over the next months may be a little different for a little while, but the fact remains, the next 4 years will be some of the best years of your life to read great books, to ask life's big questions and contemplate life's big questions with faculty and with your peers. The next 4 years are going to be filled with opportunities, students, to discover and develop your personal unique strengths. And they'll be filled, these next 4 years will be filled with some of the best opportunities, the best years of your life to think about and to set plans in motion about how you will make the communities that we share stronger, and ways for you to make planet Earth a better place for every inhabitant. We look forward to all that you bring to this community. And today, StartStrong, it marks a step forward in that journey. Today, students and parents, marks the beginning of the official handoff, if you will, from the Office of Admissions to the larger Meredith community of the class of 2024. Today marks that handoff. Now, students and parents, the Office of Admission, we love you, and we are still here and we'll support you. And no doubt there may be hurdles to jump and hills to climb. But class of 2024, here's a fact. You have already jumped hurdles and you have already climbed hills. You know what to do with obstacles. You know how to be resilient. You know how to persevere. And as the Office of Admission hands you off to the larger Meredith community, I want you to rest assured there are so many people, from faculty to alums, from student services staff to student support staff, from current students to your big sister class of 2024. All of these people, so many people, eager to support and help you successfully navigate your Meredith experience. So let's get right to it. In about 6 or 7 minutes, students and parents, you're going to hear some important information about your summer timeline from our Director of Academic Advising, Alex Davis. You're also going to have an opportunity to ask your questions and get answers from our distinguished representative of Meredith our distinguished panel of Meredith representatives. So students, after Alex Davis, Director of Academic Advising, does a summer timeline, you will get to type in your questions using the Q&A function in the webinar, and we look forward to answering those questions. But before Alex provides an update on the summer timeline, I'm happy to share a special message prepared just for you, class of 2024, from College President, Dr. Joe Allen.
Hello, and welcome to the class of 2024. I'm Joe Allen, and I'm president here at Meredith College. And you're making a wonderful decision to come to Meredith. How do I know? Because I made the same decision over 40 years ago. I'm very proud to be an alumna of Meredith College, an education and an experience and people who have always served me well and supported me in any decisions I wanted to make about my future. I'm proud that you're making that decision as well, and I'll give you some good reasons for making the decision that you're making. First of all, you join 95% of our alumni who say they would choose Meredith all over again. How exciting is that, especially when you consider the national statistics on that? Actually, among college graduates, only 49% of them say they would go back or choose the same institution and major again. At Meredith, that number again is 95% said, yes, I would do it again. Also, 97% of our alumni say they were professionally well prepared based on the education and experiences they had at Meredith. Let's talk about what that looks like just a little bit as you start strong here. One is our focus on strengths. We think it's an important way for you to realize what's right about you. We also say it's an important way to build on your strengths to plan the kind of future that you want. How exciting that you get to do that. Because working from strengths, we know from research, is the best way to build the strongest life possible. In fact, what's really important is that while it's great to have your strengths in good times, showing you pathways and options, it's just as important to rely on your strengths when times are tougher, like during this pandemic, for instance, because it's your strengths that let you build resilience and to make a new plan if you need to, or to continue to persevere in the pathway you've set for yourselves. In that way, you learn not to just survive, but actually thrive, even in difficult times. And I'm proud that you can do that here. One of the ways that you can do that is by hooking up quickly with our Office of Career Planning. And in fact, that's the way we work at Meredith. So at some institutions, you may have to wait till you're a junior or even a senior to actually have appointments and interviews and mock interviews and sessions with the career planning counselors. At Meredith, you get to do that from day one because we think it's important that throughout the 4 years of your time here at Meredith, you're always exploring your options and you're always learning new ways to put your strengths to work. In addition, at Meredith, the Career Planning Office is open to you for the rest of your life. We know that a lot of students, a lot of women, make different choices throughout their lives, maybe for having families or moving overseas for a while or trying different jobs. So we say it's very important that this is a lifetime benefit of being a Meredith alumna, that you get to stay connected with career planning throughout your life. Equally important is our new program, Meredith Mentors, which is an online platform that lets you meet and talk to alumni and friends of the college who are eager to help you network and to find internships or jobs or the best places to live or just a great restaurant somewhere in a new city or a new area for you. The Meredith Mentors program is a dynamic tool to help make sure that you are getting the best advice you can from as many people as possible, especially those out in the world who've done exactly the kinds of things that you want to do. Our connections across the region, across the state, across the nation, and indeed around the world are exactly the kinds of connections that you'll want to open doors for you. In fact, we have more employers and more internship opportunities than we have students to fill those. The important part of that is it means that they have to compete for you, and that's a great experience because it gives you more options, it gives you more choices about where you want to work, what kind kind of career you want, and what kinds of other experiences you want throughout your life. So start strong, learn your strengths, and build the kinds of plans that will take you where you want to go in your life. I'm excited to welcome you to Meredith because we are a supportive and caring community that really does focus on you as an individual, letting you lead your best life with careful thought and planning going into it. We're looking forward to having students back on campus this fall. We have multiple opportunities to do things both remotely and on campus, but we're counting on being back this fall. So, all that said, I'm delighted to welcome you to Meredith, where you are starting strong, starting today. And you'll be joining a wonderful, supportive, challenging, enriching community of friends, teachers, staff members, everybody pulling for you. Welcome.
All right, everybody. Hi, my name is Alex Davis. You can't see me, but hopefully you can see my screen that I am sharing with you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the next steps for you, things for you to start to think about as we move through the rest of the summer. There'll be some things that you want to take care of and really just kind of begin to wrap your head around or what the rest of the summer will look like to you as we move closer to the start of your first year here at Meredith College. And so you can see here on the screen a brief timeline of what the summer will look like. Immediately following today, you're going to get an email from me tomorrow that will talk to you a little bit more about enrollment counseling. So here at Meredith, we have a group of staff members that create your first semester schedule for you, but we do that through different layers of information that you give us. You will remember that in your registration for StartStrong that you completed a form, and in that form it had just a bunch of different questions that we asked you about a bunch of different things, gen ed, preferences, what time of day did you like to attend class, what your major interests were, do you have graduate aspirations, graduate school, what career aspirations, and things like that. So we pull information from that for your first semester schedule, but then we also will use these enrollment counseling conversations. And like I said, I will email you tomorrow. Each of you will be assigned a faculty enrollment counselor, and year in and year out, students that participate in our enrollment counseling tell us that the opportunity to meet with this faculty member is the highlight of their StartStrong experience. And so I encourage you to begin thinking about that conversation now. This will be a time for you to ask the questions that you might have about your schedule, about academics in general at Meredith, about faculty and student relationships, research, or whatever it might be. But you should take the time to prepare for that conversation so that it's a good, robust conversation. And it'll be about a half an hour. And there's some information that we need from you too, and we'll go through that, and we'll make sure that your major hasn't changed. And we'll talk a little bit about gen ed. We'll talk about what foreign language you might want to pursue while you're here, and some other things. So we have some questions for you, and you should take the time to prepare for that conversation so that you also have questions. But again, you'll get an email from me tomorrow that is about enrollment counseling, and in that email, you will have your faculty enrollment counselor assignment, their contact information, and then instructions for creating your appointment with that individual from a web page we've set up for you to do that. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. It will come to your Meredith College email. And as Sherry said, this is the official start for you as a Meredith College student, passing off from admissions to the greater campus. And so you need to make a habit out of using your Meredith College email from this point forward. And the next bubble you'll see there is a student advisor connection. So in addition to a faculty advisor, one of the unique things about Meredith is that you also have a student advisor. And this individual can, in a different way, advise you as you might need it or have questions about Meredith. from a peer's perspective. So maybe some social, acclamation or questions that you might have, or also questions about class that you, from a different perspective than your faculty advisor might give you. So you have a student advisor, and that individual, or you may have more than one, will be assigned to you throughout your first year, and then oftentimes that becomes a friend that you stay in touch with throughout your time here at Meredith. But the student advisor connection, this is a very informal meeting that you will have with your advising group. So you'll have a group of students that share the same faculty advisor and that also share the same student advisor. And later next week, you'll get an email from your student advisor with more information about this connection. Now, it will be June 30th at 5:30 in the evening, super informal. So you don't have to worry about it. It's designed to be casual connection with your peers. This is all students. There won't be any faculty or staff members there. And it's just going to be a time for you to get to know some of your classmates and some of your peers that you'll see on campus when you get here in the fall. And so be on the lookout for that. It will be from your student advisor, and you'll get an email again with the Zoom link and some more information for you to prepare for that. But that one's very, again, low key and super informal, and more about having a good time and getting to know your peers. In July, as I mentioned previously about enrollment counseling, I have a group of staff on campus that create your first semester schedule, and we will work on those in July throughout the month. And then later in July, you'll receive that. So now while we create your first semester schedule for you, we do so from information that you've given us through the form, through the StartStrong form, and through your enrollment counseling conversations, as I've already mentioned. And you'll get instructions to view that schedule when it's prepared at the end of July from me. And then if you love it or not, if you have questions, you'll have the ability to ask questions and make adjustments, both in the meantime from when you receive that to the time that you arrive here for orientation. But then also during orientation, you'll meet with your faculty advisor, and you'll have the opportunity to adjust your schedule at that point too. So while we create your schedule for you, we do so with information you've given us, and it is in no way set in stone. You'll have the ability to edit that as you need to. On the back end of July, you see there, and as President Allen mentioned, strength assessments and strong points. You've heard about that most assuredly by now. Your strengths, you'll take your strengths assessment from the comfort of your home. And then you'll follow up with our strong point staff to kind of walk through that, what that means and how you can use those to be successful, and how you can use those along the way in your academic journey here at Meredith. And you'll also receive more information and your Zoom link for your date and time to meet with the strong point staff from our director of strong points, Candace Webb. So be on the lookout for that over the next week or so. You'll get information on how to take your assessment and then when that follow-up meeting will be. The last sort of thing I'll note on a summer timeline is in August. You'll have, we're working on one or two more essay connections in early August, just to sort of bridge the gap from when you have your strengths conversation and receive your schedule to when you start officially and arrive in August for orientation. And so you'll have already connected with your student advisor once, and you'll receive more information about that. But again, those will be informal, fun interactions for you to continue to get to know and make friends and socialize with your peers here on campus. And then orientation and move-in is scheduled for the 14th. A few other items that aren't really timeline items, but things that you want to go ahead and either do or think about, consider over the summer. One is foreign language assessment. Most of you have done this. If you haven't already done this, and you'll only take the assessment if you took Spanish or French in high school. So if you did not take either one of those languages, you don't have to worry about it. But if you did, and even if you're not intending to pursue that language once you arrive on campus, we encourage you to go ahead and take the assessment in the language from high school, because that gives you information, and plans change. So maybe you took French in high school and you're going to take Spanish here at Meredith to fulfill that requirement. We encourage you to take the assessment in French anyway, because plans change, and maybe you decide, I do want to do French because I've already had some French and I can fulfill that foreign language requirement at Meredith quicker in French than I can in starting over in Spanish. So if you haven't already done so, Please log into your Brightspace. You received some information from our IT folks about how to log into Brightspace. You can always contact me too if you need assistance in accessing that. Some of you have already done so. But take your foreign language assessment if you have it. You can see on the screen here, we have a summer reading program. Each year we select a reading for the incoming class to do over the summer, and then we utilize that in programming throughout the first year. So follow up at the website here, the First Year Experience Summer Reading Program. Find the book, go ahead and start on that so that you have it completed by the time you arrive. And again, you'll use that through your classes, faculty will use it, and there'll be events on campus and things like that that refer to that summer reading and engage around it. The Big Sis, Little Sis program is something that you can elect into. It is another connection that we sort of orchestrate here for you as you enter the Meredith community. You are paired with a junior on campus who, again, is someone to show you around, help you acclimate, and there are activities and events all throughout the year, culminating at class day at the end of your first year. So research that a little bit. If you're interested, we encourage you to sign up. Last two things there at the bottom: insurance waivers. You have to have insurance as a student here at Meredith. If you already have insurance, you need to visit our health services webpage and waive out of the insurance that we provide. If you do not have insurance, then you don't need to waive out because we will provide that. But there is an additional cost for insurance, and if you already have it and don't need it from Meredith, then you need to waive out. So please take care of that sooner than later. And then if you are interested in choir or any of our singing groups and performing groups, some of you may have to do that because you're interested in music as a major. Some of you may just enjoy singing and performing, and some of these are audition based and some of them are not. But if you are interested in choir auditions, we will follow the email you receive from me tomorrow will have more information on those so that you can pursue those as well. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen and I'm going to hand it over to the Assistant Director of our Student Leadership and Service, Katie McAnulty, who will be facilitating our Q&A panel for the rest of the day. Thanks.
Thanks, Alex. Hello, my name is Katie McAnulty, and I'm an Assistant Director of Student Leadership and Service here at Meredith. And as Alex mentioned, I'll be moderating the Q&A session today. As a brief introduction, the Office of Student Leadership and Service, which is often abbreviated as SLS, helps support students in three primary ways. We help support students to engage on campus through student organizations, traditions, and campus activities. We help support students to serve in their community through volunteer experiences. And lastly, we help support students to grow in their leadership development skills. So when you hear Office of Student Leadership and Service, think, engage, serve, and lead. Now, to get started with today's Q&A session, I invite you, if you have any questions that you would like answered by our panelists, who will be faculty, staff, and administrators, please submit your questions into the Q&A feature of the webinar. Note that the Q&A feature is different from the chat feature, so please use the Q&A feature. Before we get started with asking your questions, I'd like to ask the panelists to introduce themselves and their roles on campus. So I'm going to turn it over to the panelists first.
Hi, everybody. You just heard from me. I don't know if you saw me or not, but you just heard from me, and I'm Alex Davis. I am the Director of Academic Advising here at Meredith College.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Gleason, Dean of Students at Meredith College, and I work with a lot of the campus life areas such as residence life, first year experience and orientation, health services and counseling, and we're here to support all students. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Beth Meyer. I'm the director of the Counseling Center and Disability Services. We're offering telehealth counseling and disability services now, and all of our services are confidential and free. So I hope you'll take advantage of us when you come to Meredith, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Hello, I'm Kevin Michelson. I'm Director of Financial Assistance, and my office's role is here to help students and families afford a Meredith education. So we're here to help. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Matthew Pozlosi. I'm the Senior Vice President and Provost at Meredith. I oversee all the academics and enrollment related things, and so happy that you're here with us this afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am Dean Liz Wolfinger, and so I'm the Dean of Natural and Mathematical Sciences. STEM courses are in my area, and we look forward to you joining us, and I look forward to answering both STEM questions and general questions for you.
Thank you, panelists, for joining us today. All right, I know many of you are wondering what the format of the fall semester will look like. And so to get started, I'm gonna ask that Provost Pozlesny speak about the format of the fall semester.
Thanks, Katie. So some of you may have seen, we sent out, I think it was yesterday, information with regard to the fall calendar. One of the things you might have noticed is we're actually going to start the semester 2 days earlier than we had originally planned. We'll be starting on that Monday as opposed to the Wednesday. We will not be having Labor Day as a day off. There will be a day with no classes in the middle of the semester, with the idea that we'll be wrapping things up on class activities by the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. There will still be some off campus, some virtual activities the week after Thanksgiving, with the semester ending on December 8th. Now you might be asking yourself the question with regard to, well, what will those classes look like? And we're committed to actually being able to provide courses in a variety of different ways. It doesn't mean that all courses will be presented this way, but we're going to be having opportunities for students to be taking on-campus face-to-face courses. There will be hybrid courses where they will meet partially face-to-face, partially online. And then we'll also have options for some students to take all of her courses online if that is her preference to do so. So we're trying to provide you with these options so that you feel comfortable and supported in your first semester at Meredith. I do happen to know that there's a follow-up to that, and I want to turn things over to Dean Gleason with regard to how is this start of this semester affecting moving.
Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to answer that. Right now we're working on housing scenarios and orientation and move-in. I can assure you that the orientation team is working to really create an orientation that can be many components completed remotely. And so the week of August 10th, so if you think about our first day of class being August 17th, which is a Monday, then if you kind of backtrack to that week before, that is usually when we roll out orientation. I think some of you have questions about what does this mean if I were to live on campus? What would the move-in day be and that kind of thing. And right now we have not designated what our move-in dates will be and who will be assigned on campus. But please rest assured that if you are going to be living on campus and completing orientation, you're going to have plenty of time to move in. We would have a staggered move-in process. We would have a way for students to start completing their orientation modules for really a number of days before the first day of classes. So you will absolutely be getting more information, more details about that as the summer progresses. Both about orientation, if you're living on campus, move-in, all those kind of details.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. Just as a point of clarification and a follow-up question, Dean of Students, Dean Gleason, I'm wondering if you can answer our next question. What will the fall look like in regards to guidance and expectations for wearing face masks or any on-campus living facility guidelines?
Sure. So what we're looking at are what we call community standards. As you know, we already have a student honor code. So this will be aligned with our student expectations. And we're going to be asking that really all of our campus community members will be wearing face coverings. If they're not in individual rooms, for instance, if they are walking around campus, if they're in hallways, the executive leadership team now is working on these community standards, and you will absolutely receive information and training and a lot of education about why we're recommending what we recommend, right? Based on the guidance that we're receiving through our local, county, and CDC organizations. And so really the rationale about how we're going to be rolling out community standards and really expectations that we think will be part of us being a caring and safe community. So how are we helping each other be safe? How are we holding ourselves accountable and our other community members? How can we work together as a community? I know Sherry Boyles, the Director of Admissions, used that word together. And I will tell you right now, you'll be hearing that a lot, because we really rely on persons to take responsibility as well as being part of a campus community that cares about each other. So you will definitely be hearing more about our community standards, and all of these will be related to the science and the data that we're looking at both locally and nationally.
Thank you so much, Dean Gleason. One additional follow-up question that I'm going to ask Provost Plesney is in relation to where that email was sent. If a student has not seen that email come through yet, would that email have gone to perhaps their Meredith email address or their email address on file with the admissions office?
That's a good question, and I will double check on that. I believe the email would have gone to the Meredith email address that we have for you, but that information that will also be posted on our website soon if it is not already there. We're constantly updating our website with all information in terms of any changes that we're making to our schedule.
Thank you. One additional note, students, is if you do not have access to your Meredith email address yet, you would have received information from the Tech Services Office on how to access your Meredith email. So if you have not received that yet to your email address that's on file with admissions, please contact our Tech Services Department. All right, let's progress ahead to our next question. This question is going to be for Alex Davis. Will the schedules, that is course schedules, be released once they're prepared?
That's correct, and they're all released at the same time. So we will work gradually across about a week or so in July, and that date that we work on schedules is really predicated upon receiving our AP exam scores. And so I'll make note of that now. If you have AP scores, if you've taken those, make sure you send them to us. And two, if you have any kind of transfer credit, if you've taken dual enrollment through your high school, you need to have your transcript sent from the community college as well. Just your high school transcript will not transfer those credits. So make sure you're transferring, make sure you're sending AP scores and transferring any college credit that you have, because we wait for that. And there's a date in July that we receive all AP scores from your senior year, your most recent semester. And then we start working on them. We will send them out as a group notification. So every member of the freshman class will receive a notification, hey, your schedule is ready to be reviewed, with instructions how to do that.
Thanks, Alex. As a follow-up question to Alex Davis, in regards to insurance, at what point does a student need to complete the insurance waiver forms that you've talked about? Is that a form that needs to be completed every year by a student? And do all students need to complete it, or only students who do not have insurance?
Great questions. Yes, it's something you have to do. And Kevin, you may speak to this too. It's either annually or semesterly. You need to do it to to avoid the charge for insurance. So you will need to just do that. And it's a very quick process, and you can do it online. It might take 2 minutes, but you'll waive out of that if you do not need it. The process for those that do need it, I would follow up, because it's not within my area. I help share that information with you and encourage you to complete that so that you don't get charged for insurance you don't need. But the waiver is for if you already have insurance through mom and dad or whoever, guardian or whatever, or on your own outside of Meredith. So you'll need to waive out of it. If you do need the insurance, then you won't waive out of it, but do refer to our health services webpage for more information. Even if you do need it and you do not intend to waive out, I encourage you to visit that webpage just to get information on that insurance that we do provide.
And I would recommend that also is that go ahead and reach out to the health services area, make sure everything is correct on that, when you need to waive out and when you want to choose to take that insurance. So.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you both for answering that question. I see in the webinar chat that our staff is also mentioning it needs to be completed annually, that waiver form, and the link to where to find more information from student health. All right, the next question is going to be for Kevin Michelson with financial aid. If my family's financial circumstances have changed, how can I inform the college of this and get more information about aid that's available?
Great, thank you. That's a great question. For those that are having changes in their financial situation, we would encourage those folks to be in touch with our office and be in touch with the specific staff member that's associated with them. We basically have 3 different staff members associated with different people's last names. So be in touch with those folks, and we can gather the information and then see about what other programs that you might show eligibility for, and to see about what we can suggest you do in the situation that you have. So there might be some opportunities for some resources, but there might be other options that you may have access to as well. So please reach out to our office and our specific staff members to talk with them and give us some information to go on. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you so much, Kevin. All right, our next question I'm going to ask to Dean of Students Ann Gleason. Ann, can you tell us more about campus security at Meredith, especially at night? And what do you offer in regards to escorting students across campus at dark, or in emergency situations, or visibility across campus?
Great. Sure. I'd be happy to provide information. Let me start first with just a description about our Campus Police and Security Office. This is a hybrid staff that has sworn law enforcement officers as well as campus security, and they're trained really to protect the campus community and to encourage good safety practices. So what we have, the staff that are on 24/7. There's never a time that a campus police person is not available through the any day of the week, any hour of the night. We also really train our students to learn the 888 number for campus police, which is 760-8888, and that is folded into our orientation, and students put that right into their phone to be able to call campus police anytime. And they also do rounds on campus. So we really encourage good safety practice for our students and our campus community members. So being aware of your surroundings, locking things like doors and cars, just being really mindful about your area and reporting suspicious people. We really think about it as a campus community safety and security, and not just relying on campus police. In answer to the question about escort services, we absolutely will assist students if they are feeling that they're coming on campus, let's say it's late at night, and they don't feel like maybe they're parking in a well-lit area. We really do encourage students to be mindful about where they're parking, be mindful about who's around when they park, and if they're feeling unsafe or feeling anxious about that, to call campus police 8888 and to let them know, hey, can you come do a round, or can you come escort me to my residence hall? many of our, if you visited our campus, you can see that a lot of the student parking is right around where students live. And so often students feel pretty secure and safe with our campus, but we always encourage anyone who has a concern, especially students, to call campus police if they're feeling anxious at all about that.
Thank you, Dean Gleason. I'd like to ask the next question to Beth Meyer, Director of the Counseling Center. If an individual knows that they like mental health services entering Meredith, do they go ahead and talk with your staff now, or should they wait until the fall semester begins?
Great question. Yeah, as long as you're enrolled for fall, we would be happy, especially if some of your issues may be about transitioning, that we could start a few weeks early before the semester starts. We would be happy to do that, and you can email us or call either way. It's counselingcenter@meredith.edu. Our number is 919-760-8427, and you may not get a voice, but definitely leave a message and we will be getting right back to you to schedule something. So really looking at your individual situation of what would be in your best interest. We want you to have a wonderful summer, but if it would help to start working on some of those issues to help you have that transition, we're happy to do that. And I think it can help people feel a little bit more secure. And if summer's a great time to be working on your mental health, so we're happy to have those appointments, and we'll do our best to get you in quickly. I have to add, because I just really appreciate our campus police as part of the counseling center. If there are any ever crisis, we in the fall will be providing both counseling services. I mentioned disability services as well. We do have a counselor on call during the academic year, and we find that our campus police is one avenue sometimes to be able to call them, to be able to get to that counselor on call, and they're very caring and invested in our students. You'll be well served by them.
Thanks, Beth. It's great to know that the Counseling Center staff is so supportive and already available this summer to support students. The next question we have is for Alex Davis. If a student already has their class schedule, or once they receive it later this summer, how would that student know if a class is going to be in a hybrid, online, or in-person model?
Great. Yeah, again, good question. So as we continue to vet and figure out what classes and what modalities we'll use for those classes, so whether or not they'll be face-to-face, whether or not they'll be online, whether or not it would be a hybrid, we will update the course descriptions of those courses. So you'll know if something were to change. Right now they are, if you have a schedule for the fall already, it reflects what it was originally scheduled to be prior to the online era setting in, right? So things will be updated, and you'll be able to tell once the decision has been made about that class.
Thanks, Alex. As a follow-up question, Alex, in regards to foreign language test, where again can someone go to access the foreign language test?
So when you deposited, you should have received an email from our IT folks that sent you your login, and we use the same login across all of our student systems. So whether or not that's My Meredith or Brightspace, which is our learning management system where you will access all of your classes, whether or not they're online or otherwise. We use the same login, and it's the same login for your Meredith College email as well. And so you should have received an email from IT that walked you through that temporary login, changing your password to something, and then providing you the different links that we use or students that will use during their time here at Meredith. So offhand, it's Brightspace. I don't know the address, but it is called Brightspace, and I'm happy to provide that. Some of you have already reached out to me about Brightspace, about your foreign language assessment, but it is delivered virtually through our student learning management system, and it is called Brightspace. But so if you have that email, you can refer to that as far as accessing your Meredith College email. I saw some questions in the Q&A too about where do they get their Meredith College email. That all of that sort of digital existence information is in that IT email. And if you didn't receive it, you can always contact me and I can help facilitate finding that for you, or you can reach out to our IT department help desk on your own.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Alex. Yes, gaining access to that Meredith College email is an important first step. And so we encourage students, if you don't already have access to it, make that a to-do on your to-do list this week to locate how to access that email. All right, our next question, I'm gonna ask Dean Gleason to answer. In regards to commuter students' parking passes, when can commuter students begin buying those parking passes and where should they go?
Sure. Yes, all parking passes, whether a student lives on campus or she commutes, are purchased through the campus police office. So if somebody would like to contact the campus police office, you can certainly do that this summer. I believe that they will be emailing or sending out information about how to access your parking pass. And so there'll be some avenues for doing that, either through the mail or coming to campus. And so you'll get more information about that later, but both resident students and commuting students both purchase parking passes.
Thanks, Dean Gleason. Alex, the next question is for you. If a student is taking summer classes that end in late July, at what point should they inform Meredith that they're taking those courses and try to acquire that course transfer credit, and revise their schedule if needed?
Great point of clarity to some of the information I talked about earlier in transfer credit and AP credit. If you are in that situation and you're taking, let's say you decided to enroll in your local community college and you're taking some second half summer school that won't be done quite yet. Or if you're going to send AP scores in and you haven't done so, but you're anticipating some AP credit, tell your enrollment counselor what you're taking or what you have taken and what you anticipate. Now your AP scores will depend on the score you got, will dictate what the class transfers as. You need to make a C or better in anything you're taking in a community college for it to transfer to Meredith. So while those things might be up in the air, you may not know if you made high enough on your AP exam to get credit, and maybe you're between a C and a B in a transfer class, you may not get it. But go ahead and tell your faculty enrollment counselor so that we know that that's out there, and we don't put you in a class in the fall that you're already taking this summer, even if you haven't transferred it officially. Now, once it's done, then you'll just transfer it. So two things: let your faculty enrollment counselor know, and then two, as soon as it's done, you'll need to send the most recent up-to-date transcript from that community college or whatever institution it might be to Meredith. And most of the time you can do that electronically. You should be able to sign, you'll have the option to send your transcript right away or at the end of the semester once grades post. So you could go ahead and make that request, now or whenever that class starts, so you don't forget about it, and it will be done automatically. But yes, as soon as that class is done, you'll have to send a new transcript.
Thanks, Alex. Our next question is related to Brightspace. Is Brightspace the place to access course information and to submit course materials and assignments? And the answer to that is yes. However, please also refer to your faculty member's syllabus for more specific details on where to submit all course assignments and access information. Next, our next question is directed to Kevin Michelson, and it's a two-part question. The first part is, when is tuition due each semester? And the second part is in relation to the insurance program. How are we billed for the insurance if we do opt in? And is there a payment plan available?
Gotcha. All right. So with regards to when the tuition is due and when you're billed, we do everything by semester. So the first fall statement is due by August 1st for the fall semester, and for spring, the payment is due by December 1st. That is if you're paying in a lump sum payment for that semester. If you want to set up a payment plan, you can set up a payment plan to divide your payments over a 5 month period of time for each semester. And that we would like to have set up by July 1st and for the fall semester, and to set up by January 1st of the spring semester. In relation to the insurance is automatically billed to your account if you choose not to go about and do the waiver. So that's included as part of your charges. And so if you have any charges on there, you can then divide up your payments on the payment plan to satisfy your charges. So it's all wrapped up into your charges. You don't actually pay on the insurance per se, you just pay on the amount that you owe regarding your whole entire charges or costs, less any financial aid that you may have. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Kevin. That is really helpful. Our next question is for Dean of Students Ann Gleason. It is also a two-part question, and it is, when will we receive our room assignments? And secondly, what exactly are the boy hours for campus?
Great. Okay, so the first one, we are still working on scenarios and our details about housing assignments and everything from, where students will be assigned, how many students to a space. So that has not been announced yet, and we have an incident response team and a small working group working on those. I'm imagining probably in July that will be announced. And so I know that the Residence Life Office, if you have signed up to live on campus and you filled out your housing form, they do have those forms and they are poised and ready to go when we find out what our campus plan is. So that's an answer to the first part of the question. The second part of the question is that somebody was reading probably Meredith News and knows that we have recently expanded some of our male visitation, or we call them, the students call them boy hours, we call them guest visitation hours for our residence halls. The Student Government Association recently made a recommendation to Dr. Jackson, our Vice President for College Programs, and those new expanded hours were approved for this coming fall. I will say I do not have the hours in front of me, and I'm sorry to say that. The Residence Life Office absolutely will have those hours. If you would like to contact, I believe it's reslife@meredith.edu, and ask them what the hours that were approved were for the residence halls. We do have hours every day for male visitation or guest hours, and they vary depending on a Sunday through Thursday is a little different than a Friday, Saturday. Evenings. So those have been expanded. In the Oaks, students living in the Oaks, which are usually upperclassmen, they do have availability of having guests. I will say, though, for this coming year, the other thing that our campus is looking at, if students are living on campus, is even though we have expanded the visitation hours, it is very possible that because we may be wanting to limit the density of the number of people on campus just for health and safety reasons, this coming year, we may need to make some revisions temporarily to our guest visitation policies for campus. And so we have not made decisions about what campus policies may be changing, but I just wanted this class to be aware that what has been in place for a while, what's recently been approved, might also be modified due to COVID.
Thank you, Dean Gleason. Thank you to all of our panelists who've joined us this afternoon to answer your questions. We have reached the end of the time available for our Q&A session, and so we are going to stop here. However, if you do have additional questions, I encourage you to reach out to your admissions counselor or to the individual office who the question would be applicable to. Your admissions counselor would be able to also put you in contact with that department as well. So thank you again to our panelists for answering our questions today. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Alex Davis.
Thank you, Katie. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. I can tell you, just to reiterate what Sherry said to start us off today, that we hope this is the official, we don't take it lightly that this is your first official act as a Meredith College student. We are as excited as I know you are to start this journey, and StartStrong really marks the first step in that process, whether it's in person or online. So we are very excited. And I want to reiterate to you to begin to think about that conversation that you're going to have soon with your enrollment counselor, and be excited about that. Our faculty are very excited to meet you and to have these conversations. And those conversations with faculty, there's mountains of data that say a faculty relationship predicates student success on campus. So think of that as maybe the first thing that you can do to step towards success on campus. So be excited about your conversation with your faculty enrollment counselor, and go ahead and start thinking about that. But really, thank you for your time today and spending it with us for this last hour. We look forward to working with you the rest of the summer, interacting with you, and seeing you on campus in just a few short weeks. So enjoy the rest of your summer as much as you can in this new environment we live in, and we will see you soon.
Bye.